Reportedly, the 10th world champion Spassky's last words were, "I will rest now." Of course, what it truly meant was, "I will rest only now." A hallmark of a creative mind, one that had been endlessly bubbling with creation. For such a mind knows that there will come a time to finally rest, but never before. Larsen's opening by Larsen himself, preparing to fianchetto his queen's bishop to attack the center and black's king side. To restrict the same, while of course controlling the center, Spassky plays what is now touted as the modern variation in Nimzo-Larsen attack. Attacks the central pawn, defends the same. A piece occupies the big center without any of the pawns in the main center, typical nature of hypermodern openings. Thus, black by fourth move is already on the equal footing with white. Attack. Black's pieces are developing comfortably in harmony, exposing the limitation of Larsen's opening. To take is a mistake. Knight to f5 was better. Yes, black has the luxury to sack the pawn here, thanks to his superior development and space. Takes with check. Takes with an attack. Intermezzo. White has no time to take. Takes. This crazy looking position is level. Going back to the game move, black has a choice to make. Capturing the knight from the flank pawn brings the same towards the center. And one day, pawn to d5, your pawns dance at the center. Why not? And should you capture from the central pawn, you are going away from the center, but you are improving your activity along the d file and along c8 to h3 diagonal immediately. So which one to choose between the two good looking methods? The dominating factor in this position is to improve the piece activity immediately rather than merely reinforcing the center through pawns. This position is very instructive. So let's just hallucinate for a moment and believe it is black's turn here. Pause the video to find the continuation for black. I hope you took your time. A brilliant positional sack. Now, white's king side is very weak. Should d takes e3, it's even worse, exposing the weakness of the castling bereft king. Hopeless position for white. So let's continue to examine the position after f takes e3. Bull's head position. You give me the target, I will attack it immediately. Now pawn to h4 is fine too, but maximizing the activity of the knight is slightly better. Maximum activity method. Threatening to win another pawn. Countering the same with the restriction method. Now long castling is fine, but losing castling voluntarily is much better, as king gets to stay in harmony with its several defenders on its side, while of course connecting the rooks. Giving room for knight, but giving up on d5 square. Putting pressure on the rook and h2 pawn, compelling the bishop to take knight. But to take is a mistake. Now, the king's rook is a monster. Rook flies at once, winning back the material with a lovely position. Material is level, but position is already winning for black. So, do you see how an innocent looking position is brewing with something extraordinary? This is almost thematic in such openings, where the hypermodern opener, who hasn't brought the pawn to center yet, should keep a watch on such positional pawn sacrifices from the opponent, whose pawn has just crossed the equator. So white should immediately stop this plan. Reinforcing e4, the pieces developing comfortably in harmony continues. Getting ready for castling. Rook is developed with castling, while simultaneously putting pressure on white's backward pawn. A costly mistake. Pause the video to find the move for black. I hope you took your time. A fine jump to coordinate with the follow-up, rook sack on d2. A good move. Offering the exchange was an alternative, as it proves to be a fine bind on the third rank. Rook is immune. Do you see how? Pause the video if you have to. Should white harm the rook? Takes. Knight sack, rendering the white king naked. Takes. Mainly threatening bishop to d4 check, followed by queen to e2 mate. This beautiful rook sack was another alternative. Reportedly, Spassky mulled over this for quite some time, but felt this was not easy to convert, and rightly so. Takes. Transforming the horse to an octopus, the point behind the elephant sack. Mainly threatening to activate black's last piece with a tempo, with a formidable attack. White has no time to bring his other pieces to the defense of his king. Attack. Discover check. Maximizing the rook's activity with a tempo. Everyone attacks, also vacating the square for the mightiest piece. Discover check. Threatening to under-promote the pawn to a bishop, followed by checkmate, either on g2 square should one of the rooks capture the newly born bishop, or e3 square should knight capture the bishop. Going back to the game move, Larsen attacks the knight, to which Spassky decides to dismount from his high horse and walk barefoot like a brave soldier towards the victory. What a seismic shift. Taken. And should the rook trade happen, white king on his side will be left with the only defender against the menacing black pieces. Understandably, rook shies away. Pause the video to find the continuation. Did you find the move? Wow, what a beautiful way to win. A brilliant empty square sack to deflect the white rook from controlling g2 square. There were other ways to win with a bishop sack on e3 or simply queen to h4. But had it not been for this stroke of timeless genius, rook to h1, I suspect this game would have slipped into oblivion without a whisper, given the earlier inexplicable move f4 from a player of Bent Larsen's stature. The point behind the sack. Instead, rook to g1 was the way to prolong the suffering. Check. Check. Vacating the square for the pawn to promote, while also attacking the bishop. Going back to the game move. Check. Here, at the end of the 17th move, white resigned in the wake of mate in 3. Mr. Spassky, take a bow. Thank you, dear listener, for accompanying me in paying tribute to the legend, Spassky.